You may recognize these. Yes, the Desert Eagle is what I'm going to talk about today, and I have two different versions here. I'm going to talk about the Desert Eagle in Airsoft generally, and then I'm going to talk about two of the options that if you're looking to buy one, you may be considering. Guys, welcome back to the channel. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Today is a discussion video that I'm going to talk about the Desert Eagle. Now, you probably recognize this and you probably know the name of it, mainly because it's a very interesting, different design, but it is massive, is probably the main reason that people know this. Normally it comes in black. However, I do have another version here which is in gold, and I would say it works quite well. I don't know if you guys agree, but it is a very flashy pistol, and kind of rocking this around is pretty awesome. But going around with this and potentially getting an elimination in Airsoft is going to be incredibly satisfying. So I don't know what you guys prefer, whether it's the gold or the standard black, but I think there's going to be people in both camps. And for me, usability of this thing is not that's not that relevant. I don't know if you guys have ever carried a Desert Eagle, but they are pretty big. And so putting this in a holster on the side of your body and trying to run around with this as a secondary does not work that well, or it may work well for you, but I've tried doing it once and I gave up instantly because this is not like a Glock, it's not like an M9, it's not in any way a size which is that wieldy or that compact. So I have to say I like the show of this, but I am not a big fan of actually using it in game. I do think getting an elimination with this, which I haven't done, would be very, very satisfying though. So I have a little bit of an emotional attachment to this. This was actually was the first airsoft gun I ever got as a kid. Now this, as you probably guessed, because I talk about this brand a lot, is a Tokyo Marui, and this is their hard kit gas blowback version. However, it is very similar and feels almost identical in terms of finish to the spring Tokyo Marui gas blowback that I got when I was probably 12 or 13. Back then, we're talking probably early 2000s, or we are talking early 2000s. There was not much in terms of, for a kid anyway, there wasn't that much in terms of gas blowback that was around, and the effective nature of it was not that, high. It wasn't like I was going around looking for that. But when I was a kid, I had something, I think it might have been lighter than this, but I would literally cock it like this every time and fire it as a spring pistol. So when I saw these, and as I was kind of building up my airsoft collection, I knew that I wasn't really going to use it, but I did also know that it would kind of have this level of nostalgia for me. So I decided to get one. So I really obviously kind of appreciate, the feeling of it, bringing back those memories. But I would love to get your guys' thoughts on it. Have you ever picked up one of these? Have you ever actually used one in game? And did you find it effective if you actually did? So to go through these two guys, I have the Tokyo Marui Desert Eagle Hard Kick, and this is the WeTech Desert Eagle. It's licensed by Cybergun, but Cybergun's just a licensing company. This is the gold version. So as you can see, it's very much shiny, and this one is actually full metal. So I would say weight-wise, this one weighs more, but it's not actually much of a difference. It's not like, if I was picking both up, I'd be like, wow, this is full metal, this is polymer, and this is a lot heavier. This one's still got its orange tip in there. As you can see, I was actually looking at this because I'm going to sell this. I'm not going to actually use it, but you can see there, that's where the orange tip is. So you could literally just kind of like wiggle this out, I'm pretty sure, and it wouldn't be very hard to do it. This, on the other hand, was difficult. I haven't actually cleaned this up fully yet, but I removed the orange tips from my replicas, and this was pretty difficult to get out, namely because normally if I'm getting an orange tip out of a airsoft gun, I'll remove the outer barrel and then I will heat it up with a heat gun or boil it, and then I'll be able to pull that out. This is polymer. So kind of heating this thing up with a heat gun obviously isn't going to work, which does make it a lot more difficult to get it out. I got mine out, but I would say if you're looking at buying the TM Hard Kick Desert Eagle, definitely bear that in mind. Now, this is polymer. As you can kind of see, maybe. It does actually kind of look like, I would say from afar and actually pretty close up, like it could be metal. It's definitely not as shiny as this, but I don't actually have a black Desert Eagle from Cybergun and from, sorry, WeTech to actually see what the difference would be in terms of metal to plastic. But it definitely feels, I'd say feels in terms of like the weight, you know, top heavy, it feels very similar. So if you're considering either of these and you're thinking, wow, do I want to go for a heavier metal one? I'd say it really doesn't matter. I do kind of notice a difference in the plastic grips. As you can probably tell, the WeTech one is a lot shinier. And I would say it does feel like a cheaper plastic, kind of from where I'm feeling it. This is almost like more of a rubberized feel to it. And if you know Tokyo Marui, if you've watched the channel, if you know me talking about Tokyo Marui, their build quality is always very good. I would say WeTech builds some incredible airsoft guns, but they are much more at an affordable price. And sometimes their quality control is not nearly to the standard of Tokyo Marui. To give you an idea, I don't have the packaging for the TM one here, but this is the packaging for the Cybergun WeTech one, and it is your kind of standard cardboard cutout. You know, it's good packaging, but it's not really the curated, you know, opening the box as an experience that you get with TM. So guys, just to run you through, the prices of these are kind of similar, but kind of different. This is $250. So it's quite a lot of money for a pistol, I would say. I mean, it is a showpiece. So it's something you could put on your desk. You could put it on your fireplace mantle. You know, it's going to look pretty cool, even if you're not using it. But this is $250. If you go for the standard one, which is the green gas black one, this is actually $175. So it's quite a bit of difference just going from the black one at $175 up to this at $250. Obviously, if you're looking for a showy Desert Eagle, which a lot of people would be, you know, that is something that you probably may want to spring for. This Tokyo Marui, however, is basically the same price as a black one of these. So you're $179. If you go for the chrome version, which again is not metal, but it is kind of more showy. I'd say it's probably not showy as gold, but that is $199. So you're looking at $175 to $200 for one of these. However, if you go gold, you're spending up to $250. And what I would say is, for me, buying, I got this in a mystery box, an Evite mystery box. For me, buying the Desert Eagle in gold for $250, where you could get an AEG for that, you know, not the best AEG, but you could get a pretty solid AEG for that kind of money. I don't think I would be inclined to do it. I'd love to know if you guys, again, you disagree and you think this is probably a very good deal for $250. I can't really show you this as close up, but the build quality, or just the feeling of this, it is metal. You can feel it's cold to the touch, but it's not exactly, it doesn't feel like the highest quality metal, I'll say that. You know, it's not like some amazing alloy or full steel kind of thing. I'll try and give you kind of as much of a close-up as I can on it. But you can kind of see here, this doesn't really feel like metal. It's kind of got a kind of coating on it. So from afar, it's great, but I do think you may get it and you may be like, this probably isn't the quality that I thought. This is polymer, and definitely feels polymer, although you're not really touching the slide that much, so I wouldn't say that makes as much of a difference. But it is, it does feel like good quality plastic. It's good quality polymer. It's put together very well. You've kind of got a metal slide catch here, but it definitely, build quality wise, I would say this is metal, but it's a little bit shaky. It's a little bit rattly. This thing is solid. Now, similarities and differences. This obviously has a Picatinny rail on the bottom and on the top. I don't know if you would run kind of attachments to this, because it may look really funky like that, because it is kind of, you know, if you look in the movies, it's almost like the bad guy gun, which kind of is this, you know, purebred thing. You're not really looking like tactical attachments, or I think that would look a bit weird to me. If you wanted to do it, that's great. But this definitely I wouldn't see myself using. This, I wouldn't put a sight on it, a red dot. But one thing I do realize is that this is almost like a half slide that's a pullback. So this is always staying in position. So actually running a red dot on it, it's probably like the SSP5 from Novrich now, is it's going to stay solid and it's not going to be bouncing around. So it's probably more effective. Although the recoil on these, with it being such a big slide, is heavy. So I don't know how much this isn't going to move around when you're holding it with one hand. You know, also holding it with two hands is probably the way you would do it, with it being a 50 caliber pistol. Or if it was a real one, that's definitely what you do it. So that wouldn't look weird. But I can imagine most people wielding this one hand. One of the differences that I prefer, I prefer the TM for that. I'm going to give it to the TM. It doesn't have that functionality, but I like the cleaner look. I like how it's just kind of that, the barrel does the talking. This one's got the fluted end barrel, which is cool, but it's definitely, it's kind of like an altered Deagle to me. It's like upgraded, but I don't know if they do a real version which has these rails on it. Whereas this to me is kind of the pure breed Deagle that I would prefer to run. In terms of the slide rack, this kind of sounds plasticky, I would say, but I'll try and do one of these for you. So this is kind of, that's the same thing, I would say. It's not like that sounds super metal. Slide forward. Again, you can kind of hear that plasticky clunk. I'll try and give you the proper rack. If it gets caught. No, I just said that when I'm breaking it, which is great. Okay, what was wrong with this now? Oh, I've got the safety which I flipped on. That probably doesn't help. So that's kind of what it sounds like. I don't think either of them sound that impressive, to be honest. But they're kind of similar feeling when you rack them back. I mean, really, these are about the recoil that you're going to see. They both have the similar, the hammer pullback here. You can see the trigger on that one moves. The trigger on this does not move. So I'll show you that again. So the trigger there actually kind of clicks, although it seems to stay in the same place. Trigger on this one is not doing anything. It's staying in the same spot. One thing I say, which is my big deciding factor on these, because I think it's something that I prefer on, like, I really have a tendency towards pistols that have a hop up that's easily accessible. It's one thing with my Glocks that I don't like that much, is having to remove the top slide to have to do the hop up adjustment, because especially if I'm in game, or if normally what I'll do is I'll take a couple of shots in the safe zone as I come out of the safe zone before the game starts, just to kind of make sure that my hop-up's working or it's in place. Because if you're shooting in game and you're trying to hit someone and the hop-up's not working, I think that's like the worst thing ever. So I'll do that normally, but I don't really want to take the slide off. I don't want to do some in-depth kind of, tech work to actually adjust the hop-up. And this, the Tokyo Marui, has made that very easy. If I show you here, it's actually got this slide down piece. So you can actually you have a dial, so you can kind of move the dial and change the hop up. So I like that. If I was taking a couple of shots, I could just pull that back, have a look at it, and decide that I needed to adjust it. This isn't hard, but it is a lot more difficult. You can see there's a hex key kind of mark right there that you have to stick a little hex key in to move. It doesn't really tell me as well which direction is putting more hop up on. I would presume going right is going to bring the hop nub down. But for me, Tokyo Marui wins it on that for sure. Another thing which actually I tested just before this is mag compatibility. And these mags look very similar. I'll show you here. This has actually got a bit of a thicker base to it, but they are very similar dimensions. They've kind of got similar look to them. They've actually got different writing at the bottom there. I'll try and show you there. One says 50, the other says 12, 902 and 595. But you can see here the kind of valves at the back, slightly different. There you've got, with the TM1, you've got a much smaller kind of valve area to hit. And with the WE, that's more of your standard valve. So they're not cross-compatible. So if you're thinking, I'll buy one and I'll be able to use them, this is the TM1 going into the WE. Does not work. and the other way around, here is the WE1 going into the TM. Similarly, they just don't fully go in. So I wouldn't want to slam that in too hard, but they are not cross-compatible. One of the other big things which I think you guys will want to look at is FPS. Feet per second. Now that is a big difference. So when you're looking at your Desert Eagle, this is 265. So normally pistols that I will use probably around 300. The reason that I like that is because if I'm playing inside or I'm playing in other areas, the minimum engagement distance is at 300. You don't really have it. If you're going at 350 and above, you know, they're saying, look, I want a 5 foot or a 10 foot or 15 foot engagement distance. I think that's great with my primary. However, and to be honest, you may not use this when you're kind of going into a building or close range. But for me, having a lower FPS is more valuable. This one is actually running at significantly higher 368. So that's basically what a lot of your AEGs will be running at, sub 400. And it probably means that it's got more range to it. However, I don't know how often you're going to be taking long shots with this. It obviously probably does make it a bit more enjoyable getting a kill with this, because if you're shooting it and someone yells, ow, I feel like that with a Deagle, and don't take my word for it, don't take my advice, but I feel like that with a Deagle would be a little bit more satisfying. So those are the main features, I think, guys. As I kind of alluded to, I would go with this. They both actually have the markings on them, so I'll show you there, sorry, as well. So the Desert Eagle one, you can see it's got the Desert Eagle branding and markings. Same with here. Sometimes Tokyo Marui have done that illegally. I believe they've done that correctly with this, because you can buy this from US retailers. Normally, if they've stolen the branding and not actually paid for it, then they won't sell them in US retailers, and you've got to be clever about getting them imported. So I believe that they both have paid for that. Cybergun being the licensing company, that would make a lot of sense with the Desert Eagle right there. And Magnum Research, this one's actually got made in Japan on it, Israeli Military Industries, and that one's just got Magnum Research. So this is obviously based on the Israeli pistol with that. This one has just got Magnum Research. So I kind of like the Israeli style more. But anyway, guys, I prefer this. I'll show you kind of what they sound like when they're firing with the slide lock, and just with me pushing down the slide release so that you can hear it kind of cycle properly. I would say, I think just from using this one, I haven't really tried this. I think I've fired it once. The actual feeling and the performance I expect on this is going to be better. But as I said, it's a toss-up, guys. You know, they're very similar. They're a similar price if you're not going for the gold one. And I think you'd be happy with either one, because finding a holster for these things is impossible. Trying to find a holster that you can sit down with, or you can, you know, not feel as you're running around, is very difficult. These things weigh a lot, so they're going to swing around as you have them in your belt or your holster. So I think more you're going to buy this as a Shogun, and so I think either of these are going to be really good fun. I'm going to show you now. I'll start with the Cybergun so you guys can hear that. Here's the racking noise. Here's the release. And here is the fire to lockback. And you can see it's a pretty loud pistol. The kick on it is, you can see it's kicking back my hand. And to show you what it is like with the slide release held down, and that is pretty good feeling. I'd say the kick on that is pretty awesome, which is what you're going to want. This is the sound of the Tokyo Marui lockback, the release, and this is where you're firing it to lock. You can see it's more of a like loud clang to it. I would say this kind of probably gives a bit more kick. It's going to be very, very close, but I do think it's probably a little bit more. And this is, it's just more snappy. It's a more snappy action. What I'll do, guys, for you quickly, also, the other thing you can obviously do is pull the hammer back and not fire it unless it's flat like that. With this one, so that one actually has a functioning hammer. I didn't realize that when I looked at it. Oh no, it is. Both of them are functioning hammers. Sorry, apologies. But I will give you guys a quick kind of sound of them next to each other. Okay, so this is what they both sound like and look like. You know, it's a similar kick, I would say. Let me try and just fire them on repeat. I mean, that's probably a great sound on the camera. Guys, I hope you found this interesting. If you'd like me to kind of give you a more in-depth review on either one of these and to show you some more close-ups, I will try and do that. I'm going to make a short now just to kind of do a comparison and ask people what they prefer. So if you'd like to see that, it should be on here shortly. I would love if you guys subscribed, if you put on notifications, and if you'd let me know what you would like to see on the next video. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.